What if I told you that just one small, everyday nut could begin shrinking your enlarged prostate in less than a single day? No surgery, no expensive prescriptions, no risky supplements, simply a natural food you can find in any grocery store, and yet, most men over 60 have never been told about it. I am Doctor, a urologist who has spent over 30 years helping men reclaim their health, their comfort, and their confidence. I've treated thousands of patients struggling with prostate issues. From sleepless nights caused by constant bathroom trips to that frustrating weak stream to the quiet fear of something more serious, I know how these problems chip away at your quality of life. Here's the surprising truth. The medical evidence on certain nuts is not new. Decades of research show that some of them contain compounds that can help reduce inflammation, improve urinary flow, and even support sexual health. But these facts rarely make it to the men who need them most. Instead, many are left thinking their only options are medications and procedures. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 most powerful nuts for shrinking your prostate. Naturally backed by science, and I'll tell you exactly how to use them to get the best results. And before we finish, I'll reveal a simple way to eat one of them so it works faster than you ever imagined. Stay with me. This may be the turning point your prostate health has been waiting for. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe and tap the bell icon so you don't miss any of my prostate health tips designed specifically for men over 60. And after you watch, let me know in the comments. Type 1 if you found this helpful or 0 if you think I can make it even better for you. Now, let's get into the very first powerhouse on our list, the one I recommend to nearly every man who walks into my office. It's small, it's easy to find, and it's backed by real science for shrinking an enlarged prostate: pumpkin seeds. Nut number 1, pumpkin seeds. Nut number 1, pumpkin seeds. When I think back over my 30+ years of practice, there's one moment that always comes to mind when I talk about pumpkin seeds. I had a patient, a 67-year-old retired fireman, who came home desperate. He'd been waking up 5, sometimes 6 times a night to use the bathroom. His stream was so weak he'd stand there for minutes waiting, straining, and feeling humiliated in his own home. He told me he was exhausted, frustrated, and at the end of his rope. He'd already tried medications, but they made him dizzy, and worse, they drained his desire for intimacy, something he wasn't ready to give up. That's when I suggested something so simple he almost laughed: pumpkin seeds. Now, before you think I'm talking about some random folk remedy, let me assure you, this is backed by real science. Pumpkin seeds are one of the richest natural sources of zinc you can find. And here's why that matters. Your prostate is like a zinc reservoir. It contains more zinc per gram than almost any other organ in your body. When zinc levels drop, which often happens as we age, the prostate becomes more vulnerable to inflammation and overgrowth. Multiple studies have shown that low zinc is linked directly to benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, the very condition that causes those frustrating urinary symptoms. But zinc is just the beginning. Pumpkin seeds are also loaded with a plant compound called beta-sitosterol. This is a phytosterol, a plant sterol, that works by blocking the conversion of testosterone into dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. If testosterone is the fuel for normal male function, DHT is like the turbocharger that makes the prostate grow faster than it should. By reducing DHT levels, beta-sitosterol helps slow that unwanted growth, and in many cases even shrink the gland back toward a healthier size. I've seen this happen time and time again. Within just a few weeks of daily pumpkin seed consumption, men report fewer nighttime trips to the bathroom, stronger urine flow, and a greater sense of relief that they can go about their day without constantly planning their lives around the nearest restroom. For some, the changes happen even faster. That same retired fireman I mentioned, within just 3 days of starting a daily handful of pumpkin seeds, raw, unsalted, and chewed well, he was down to waking up only twice per night. By the second week, he told me he slept through the night for the first time in years. The look on his face when he said those words, it reminded me why I do what I do. Magnesium is another gift hidden inside pumpkin seeds. It's a mineral that supports muscle relaxation, which means it can help the bladder empty more completely. That's crucial because one of the most irritating things about an enlarged prostate is the constant feeling that you didn't quite finish, Evan, after standing there for minutes. When the bladder muscles can relax fully, you can finally feel that sense of completion and comfort again. Now, I need to stress something important. If you want the best results, you need to eat pumpkin seeds the right way. Don't buy the sugary candied kin you see around Halloween. Skip the ones roasted in too much salt or oil. The key is to go for raw, unsalted pumpkin seeds, also known as pipitas. A small handful, about 1 to 2 Oz, is enough for most men. And if you want to supercharge their effect, soak them in water overnight and eat them first thing in the morning. This simple step can make the nutrients more bioavailable, meaning your body can absorb them faster and more completely. There's something empowering about knowing that a food this simple, this accessible, can help you take control of a condition that makes so many men feel powerless. You don't need to wait for a prescription or a procedure to start improving your quality of life. You can walk into almost any grocery store today, spend just a few dollars, and begin taking that first step towards sleeping through the night, regaining your energy, and protecting your long-term prostate health. I've always believed that nature gave us what we need to thrive. We just have to know where to look. And when it comes to prostate health, pumpkin seeds are one of those gifts, but they're not the only one. In fact, there's another nut I want to tell you about that works in a completely different way. One that protects your prostate on a cellular level and has been linked in research to lowering the risk of prostate cancer itself. And the best part, you only need 1 or 2 of them a day. Let's talk about it next. Nut number 2. Brazil nut number 2. Brazil nuts. If pumpkin seeds are my go-to recommendation for reducing inflammation and easing urinary symptoms, then Brazil nuts are the quiet, understated powerhouse that too many men overlook. I remember a patient named George, 72 years old, who had been through what he called the prostate roller coaster. Years of fluctuating symptoms, rounds of medication, periods of relief followed by flare-ups, and an ever-present anxiety about what might happen next. When he came to see me, he was exhausted from chasing solutions. As we talked, I asked about his diet, and it became clear that he was missing something critical: selenium. Brazil nuts are without question the richest natural source of selenium you can find. Just 1 or 2 nuts a day can give you more than your daily requirement. And that's a good thing because selenium is one of the most important minerals for protecting prostate tissue at the cellular level. It's not just about reducing inflammation. Selenium acts as a powerful antioxidant, neutralizing free radicals that can damage DNA and accelerate aging in the prostate. Low selenium levels have been linked in multiple studies to a higher risk of prostate cancer. And to me, that's a connection no man can afford to ignore. What I love about Brazil nuts is how little you need to see a benefit. This isn't about eating handfuls until you're full. In fact, that would be a mistake because too much selenium can cause toxicity. Instead, it's about precision. 1 to 2 nuts per day consistently is enough to saturate your body with the protection it needs. I often tell my patients that Brazil nuts are like insurance for the prostate, a small, regular investment that pays off in long-term security. George was skeptical at first. He had been told so many times that food can't make that big of a difference once the prostate is enlarged, but he was willing to try. I gave him a simple plan. Add 2 Brazil nuts to his breakfast every morning, chew them well, and pair them with a glass of water. We kept everything else in his diet steady so we could see the effect clearly. 3 months later, George was back in my office with a smile I hadn't seen before. His PSA levels, a key marker monitor for prostate health, had dropped slightly, which is always encouraging. But more than that, he reported that the dull, achy pressure he used to feel in his pelvis had eased. He was sleeping better. He had more energy during the day. And perhaps most importantly, he felt like he was actively participating in his own recovery instead of just waiting for the next prescription. There's another layer to Brazil nuts that I think is worth mentioning. Beyond selenium, they're also high in healthy fats. particularly monounsaturated fats, which support hormone balance. And as men age, keeping testosterone levels steady without excessive conversion to DHT is key to slowing prostate growth. They also provide magnesium, which works hand in hand with selenium to reduce muscle tension in the urinary tract, making it easier to empty the bladder completely. Eating them is simple, but quality matters. Always choose raw or dry roasted Brazil nuts from a reliable source. Because they're so rich in oil, they can go rancid if stored improperly. Keep them in an airtight container, ideally in the refrigerator, to preserve their potency. And remember, more is not better here. Stick to the 1 or 2 a day rule. What I found over the years is that when men start adding Brazil nuts into their routine, they begin to think differently about their health. It's not just about fixing a problem anymore. It's about building resilience, protecting the body against future issues, and feeling empowered with knowledge that most men never hear from their doctors. It's a small change with an outsized impact, and when combined with other prostate-friendly foods, it becomes part of a comprehensive natural strategy for better living after 60. George still emails me every now and then just to say he's sticking with his Brazil nuts. He jokes that they're his secret weapon, though I tell him they're not much of a secret anymore, at least not to the men I care for. But while Brazil nuts are remarkable for their antioxidant and protective qualities, the next nut we're about to discuss works on a completely different front. Instead of primarily defending the prostate from cellular damage, it actively improves circulation and reduces inflammation throughout the pelvic region. 2 factors that can have a direct impact on both urinary function and sexual performance, and it happens to be one of the tastiest nuts you can snack on. Let's talk about it next. Nut number 3. Walnuts number 3. Walnuts. I still remember the first time I explained to a patient why walnuts were more than just a snack. His name was Frank, 68 years old, a retired mechanic with hands as strong as steel, but a body that had begun to slow down in ways he didn't like. He came to see me for the same reason so many men his age do. Nighttime bathroom trips that broke his sleep, a weak and hesitant stream, and a growing frustration that he couldn't seem to shake. But as we talked, I noticed something else. Frank was worried about more than just his prostate. He told me he had been feeling sluggish, his mind a little foggy, and his energy lower than it used to be. That's when I knew walnuts needed to be part of our conversation. Walnuts are unique among nuts because they're one of the richest sources of plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, specifically alpha-linolenic acid or ALA. These healthy fats do more than protect your heart. They also reduce inflammation throughout the body, including in the prostate. Chronic inflammation is one of the silent drivers of prostate enlargement, and it's also linked to a higher risk of developing more serious conditions over time. When you introduce omega-3s into your diet consistently, you help your body calm that inflammation, creating an environment where the prostate can function more comfortably. But the benefits of walnuts don't stop there. They also contain antioxidants, like ellagic acid and polyphenols, that protect the delicate cells of the prostate from oxidative stress, the gradual damage caused by free radicals that comes with aging. I've seen patients who start incorporating walnuts into their diet not only notice improvements in urinary flow, but also feel sharper mentally and more energized physically. It's as if their body starts running more smoothly, like a well-oiled engine. For Frank, this was a revelation. He had always thought of food in terms of filling up, not fueling up. I explained to him that the prostate doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a network of systems, and when you improve circulation, reduce inflammation, and protect your cells, you're not just helping your urinary function, you're also supporting your brain, your heart, and even your sexual health. Walnuts, with their combination of omega-3s, antioxidants, and healthy protein, can be bridged to all of those improvements. One thing I emphasize with my patients is that blood flow is critical. The same arteries that carry oxygen-rich blood to the heart also carry it to the pelvis and prostate. If those pathways are clogged or restricted, not only can your prostate suffer, but so can your ability to maintain sexual performance. Walnuts help by improving endothelial function, the health of the lining of your blood vessels, so that blood flows more freely where it's needed most. It's a benefit that many men notice even if they weren't looking for it. Frank started with a simple routine: a small handful of raw walnuts every afternoon as a snack. Within a few weeks, he told me he was sleeping better because he wasn't waking up as often to use the bathroom. His energy felt steadier, and he even joked that his wife was smiling at him more often. A hint that his improved circulation was paying dividends in more than one way. When choosing walnuts, I recommend buying them raw or lightly toasted and storing them in the refrigerator to prevent the oils from going rancid. A handful a day, about 1 oz, is enough for most men. And if you want to enhance their benefits, try pairing them with a piece of fruit or a small serving of vegetables high in vitamin C, which can help your body absorb their antioxidants more effectively. What I love most about walnuts is how they bring multiple systems together, reducing inflammation, improving blood flow, protecting cells, and supporting mental clarity. They're proof that a single food eaten consistently can make a difference you feel in every part of your life. But as powerful as walnuts are, there's another nut I want to share with you that works in a slightly different way. Instead of focusing primarily on circulation and inflammation, this one delivers a potent dose of antioxidants that shield your prostate from oxidative stress while also supporting healthy hormone levels. And the best part, it's one of the most popular snack nuts in America. You may already have it in your kitchen. Let's talk about it next. Nut number 4. Almonds number 4. Almonds. Almonds have a special place in my own life story. When I was a young doctor, just starting out, I remember visiting my grandfather in India. Every morning, without fail, he would hand me a small handful of raw almonds soaked overnight in a glass of water. He never used the word antioxidants or talked about vitamin A levels, but he would say, "These will keep your mind sharp and your body strong." At the time, I thought it was just an old family tradition. Decades later, after years of studying men's health and prostate function, I realized my grandfather had been right all along. Almonds are a quiet, powerful ollie for the male body, especially as we get older. For the prostate, almonds bring something particularly valuable: vitamin E. This fat-soluble antioxidant is like a protective shield for your cells, defending them from oxidative stress that accelerates aging and fuels inflammation. Prostate tissue is especially sensitive to oxidative damage. And over the years, I've seen that men with higher vitamin E intake often have better urinary comfort and fewer flare-ups of BPH symptoms. But the benefits don't stop there. Vitamin E also supports immune function, helping the body fight off low-grade infections that can worsen urinary issues. Almonds also provide magnesium, a mineral I've mentioned before that helps relax muscles, including those in your bladder and urinary tract. When these muscles can relax fully, it's easier to empty the bladder completely, which means fewer urgent trips to the bathroom and a greater sense of relief after you go. And let's not forget the healthy fats in almonds. Their mix of monounsaturated fats and plant-based protein supports steady energy, balanced hormones, and healthy cholesterol levels, all of which matter when you're trying to protect not just your prostate, but your overall vitality. I recall a patient named Daniel, 64 years old, who came to see me with a familiar list of complaints. Waking up multiple times at night, a stream that had lost its strength, and a feeling that his bladder never quite emptied. He was already doing a few things right: walking daily, drinking enough water, keeping his weight in check. But his diet was still missing key nutrients. We talked about adding almonds, not as a dessert or a treat, but as a daily habit. Daniel liked the idea of something simple he could do without rearranging his whole life. He started with 10 raw almonds each morning, soaked overnight and peeled, just like my grandfather used to prepare them. 3 weeks later, he came back to my office and told me he was down to waking up just once per night. His stream felt stronger. His energy during the day was better. And he even noticed he wasn't as irritable in the afternoons. The magnesium in the almonds was helping his muscles relax, but the steady nutrient delivery was also stabilizing his mood and focus. That's something many men don't expect. When your body feels more at ease, your mind follows. When it comes to choosing almonds, I tell my patients to go for raw or dry roasted unsalted varieties. The salted and flavored ones you see in convenience stores often have too much sodium or added sugar, which can undo some of the benefits. Store them in a cool, dry place, and if you soak them overnight, keep them refrigerated during the soak to preserve freshness. Around 1 oz per day, about 23 almonds is a sweet spot for most men. One of the reasons almonds are so easy to recommend is their versatility. You can eat them plain, chop them into oatmeal, blend them into a smoothie, or sprinkle them over a salad. The key is consistency. A few here and there won't make much difference, but a daily habit, maintained over months and years, can become a cornerstone of your prostate health strategy. What always strikes me is how these small, intentional choices add up. Daniel didn't feel like he had made a dramatic lifestyle change, but the results he experienced reminded him that taking control of his health doesn't have to be overwhelming. Sometimes it's as simple as adding one powerful food into your routine and letting time do the rest. And while almonds deliver an incredible blend of antioxidants, minerals, and healthy fats, the final nut on our list has its own unique strength. It shares a key compound with pumpkin seeds, one that directly targets the hormonal pathway that fuels prostate growth, but it also offers a flavor and richness that make it one of the most satisfying snacks you can eat. Let's explore it together. Nut number 5, pecans. Nut. 5. Pecans often surprise my patients when I recommend them for prostate health. Many think of pecans only as the sweet, buttery filling in a holiday pie, not as a nutrient-rich food with serious medicinal value. I remember one patient in particular, Robert, 70 years old, a retired high school principal who prided himself on eating well, but admitted that nuts weren't really a part of his daily life. When I mentioned pecans, he chuckled and said, "Doc, the only time I eat those is at Thanksgiving." I smiled and told him, "Well, it's time to change that. Your prostate will thank you." Pecans are one of nature's richest sources of beta-testosterone, the same plant sterol found in pumpkin seeds that helps block the conversion of testosterone into dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. As I've explained to many men, DHT is one of the main hormones that drives prostate enlargement. By reducing DHT production, beta-testosterone can help slow down the growth of the prostate and in many cases relieve the pressure it puts on the bladder and urethra. That means fewer urgent bathroom trips, a stronger urine stream, and a better night's sleep. But pecans bring more to the table than just hormone balance. They're loaded with antioxidants, more in fact than many fruits and vegetables, which help protect the delicate tissues of the prostate from oxidative stress. This is critical because oxidative damage over time not only contributes to benign enlargement, but can also set the stage for more serious conditions, and the healthy fats in pecans. Primarily monounsaturated fats support cardiovascular health, which in turn benefits circulation to the pelvic region. Improved blood flow means better nutrient delivery, faster healing, and even support for sexual function. When Robert started adding pecans to his diet, I gave him a simple plan. A small handful each day, eaten raw or lightly roasted without added sugar or heavy salt. He decided to have them as his afternoon snack instead of the crackers and cheese he had eaten for years. The first change he noticed was in his digestion. The fiber in pecans kept him feeling satisfied longer, so he stopped grazing mindlessly in the evenings. Over the next month, he began to sleep more soundly, waking up only once a night instead of 3 or 4 times. His dream felt stronger, and he no longer had that nagging sensation of not fully emptying his bladder. What struck me most was the way Robert described the emotional change. He said, "I didn't realize how much I had accepted the discomfort. I thought it was just part of getting old. Now I feel like I've got a little piece of my life back." That's the power of a simple, consistent habit. It's not just the physical symptoms that improve, but the confidence and sense of control that come with them. Of course, pecans are calorie-dense, so portion control matters. For most men, an ounce a day, About 18 to 20 halves is enough to get the benefits without overdoing it. I recommend buying them fresh, storing them in an airtight container. In the fridge or freezer top, reserve their natural oils. And while they're delicious on their own, you can also sprinkle them over oatmeal, mix them into a salad, or combine them with other prostate-friendly nuts for variety. I've seen time and again that when men add foods like pecans to their daily routine, they start to realize how much control they actually have over their prostate health. They're not just waiting for the next prescription or dreading the next uncomfortable symptom. They're actively building a foundation for long-term wellness. Robert still sends me a photo every Thanksgiving of his peon pie, joking that it's doctor approved as long as he keeps his daily handful going year-round. And he's right. The pie isn't the point. It's the steady, consistent habit that makes the difference. Now, we've talked about 5 powerful nuts, each with unique benefits for your prostate. But knowing them isn't enough. You need to know how to start today in a way that's simple, sustainable, and tailored to your life. In the next section, I'll give you a clear step-by-step plan you can put into action immediately so you can start feeling the difference sooner than you think. 6. What you need to do today. What you need to do. Today by now, you've heard me talk about 5 powerful nuts that can each play a unique role in protecting your prostate, reducing inflammation, and improving your quality of life. But hearing about them and actually putting them into practice are 2 very different things. I've seen far too many men listen carefully in my office, not in agreement, promise to make changes, and then go back to the same habits that were holding them back. I don't want that for you. If you've stayed with me this far, I know you're serious about taking action. So, let's make it simple. The first thing you need to do is choose at least 2 of the nuts we've discussed and commit to adding them to your daily routine starting tomorrow morning. Don't wait until next week. Don't tell yourself you'll get around to it. Action is what creates change, and change begins with a single step. If you want fast results, start with pumpkin seeds for their immediate effect on urinary flow. And Brazil. Nuts for their deep cellular protection. You can add the others in as you go, but those 2 alone will put you on the right track. Next, buy only high-quality raw or lightly roasted nuts without added salt, sugar, or coatings. I've seen men sabotage their progress by choosing versions loaded with sodium or artificial flavors that work against their health. Freshness matters too. Store them in airtight containers. And for nuts high in oils like walnuts and pecans, keep them in the refrigerator or freezer so they don't go rancid. Then make the process automatic. Decide exactly when and how you'll eat them each day. Will you have your almonds with breakfast, your pecans as an afternoon snack, your pumpkin seeds in the morning after soaking them overnight? The more specific you are, the more likely you are to follow through. I found that pairing new habits with existing routines, like eating your nuts right after your morning coffee or during your favorite TV program, dramatically increases consistency. Portion control is key. 1 to 2 ounces a day is enough for most men, and for Brazil nuts, never more than 2 per day. This isn't about eating as many as you can. It's about getting a steady daily supply of the nutrients your prostate needs to function better. Overloading can add unnecessary calories, and in the case of selenium from Brazil nuts can even cause harm. Precision matters. As you begin, I want you to keep a simple journal of how you feel. Track your bathroom visits at night, your urinary stream strength, your energy levels, and even your mood. It might seem tedious, but in my experience, men who track their progress are more likely to notice subtle improvements, and those small wins fuel motivation to keep going. I've had patients come back after a few weeks, amazed at how much difference they see in just 1 or 2 areas and ready to double down on their efforts. Remember, this isn't a magic pill. It's a partnership between you and your body. Give it the raw materials it needs, and it will respond. It might be days before you notice a change, or it might be weeks. But if you stay consistent, those changes will build. And the confidence you'll feel knowing you are actively taking steps to protect your health, that alone is worth it. I also want you to share what you're doing with someone close to you, a spouse, a friend, a son. Tell them about your plan. When you speak it out loud, you create accountability. And when you have accountability, you're far more likely to succeed. Plus, you might inspire another man to take his own prostate health seriously, and that ripple effect is something I value deeply. This is the moment where you decide whether this was just another video you watched or the turning point that started a real change in your life. You don't have to do everything at once. Just start one handful a day, one better choice at a time. Because while I've shown you the nuts that can help, and I've given you the steps to take, there's still one more thing I need to share. Something every man over 60 should hear before he makes his next move. It's not about food or conclusion medicine or even exercise, but without it, all the other steps won't matter. Let's talk about that in the final part of our journey. Conclusion. We've walked through 5 powerful nuts that can help protect and even shrink your prostate. Pumpkin seeds for their zinc and betail, Brazil nuts for their selenium, walnuts for their omega-3s, almonds for their vitamin E, and pecans for their rich antioxidant and hormone balancing properties. Each one brings its own strength, but together they form a natural, science-backed strategy to take back control of your prostate health. I've seen these foods change men's lives. Not overnight, not with some magic trick, but through steady, daily choices that add up over time. I think of the patients who started sleeping through the night again, who no longer dreaded long car rides, or gained their confidence in ways they hadn't thought possible. And I think of my own family, the simple traditions that carried wisdom long before the research caught up. My message to you is this: you have more power over your health than you may realize. Start small, stay consistent, and trust that your body will respond. This is not the end of the road. It's the beginning of a healthier, more comfortable, more confident chapter in your life. And it starts today with you.